Hi everybody, it's Mr. E from Art with Mr. E. I have not been uploading to this channel because I have been uploading to my student Art with Mr. E YouTube channel. So if you go up to the search bar and type in Art with Mr. E, it will take you to that channel. This one I'm going to kind of transition it over to product reviews and more art teacher kind of discussions. So if you are looking for project ideas or tutorials, you can hop on over to the Art with Mr. E channel, and the Ted Ettinger one will be more of a teacher product review. All right, so today what we're going to be doing is looking at Art Skills Premium Watercolors. This is the brand that they carry at Dollar General. I'm not sure if it's exclusive to Dollar General, but that is what their arts and crafts are often labeled, is Art Skills. This is a 36 color cake watercolor, and it has one brush, and it says just add water. They think we're new here. So we're going to give it a try. I will, in full disclosure, tell you I just did this review and realized after the fact, as I was uploading my video, that my microphone was buzzing. I had it attached to my lamp, which has fluorescent compact bulbs, and I think that was creating the buzz. So I moved the microphone over to my lapel, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, this will be the last time I have to record this video. Now, one of the first things that you'll notice is it has a great variety of colors. It really does. We've got our neutrals, we've got our cool colors into our warm colors. It's really a great variety. I do appreciate that. Now, this is the brush. Of course, like I said, I just recorded this video and I used the brush already. So it doesn't really come to you looking dirty and used, but I have already used it. One of the things I noticed at the end of the video is that there is a stray hair. Now I'm not going to fault them that much for the stray hair because, well, I have stray hairs. But you'll notice that the brush is separated, and that is an issue. It's, you know, it's a $4 set with a brush included. You're going to get what you pay for. But I want to go ahead and show you some of the colors and how they act. All right, I'm going to start over here with my red. And if you are new to art painting, you'll see that reds often have a pinkish color to them. That is pretty common. You'll see that when you get red construction paper, red markers. They all kind of have this pinkish tint to them. Now I'm going to pick up an orange and I'm going to overlap my red. That's one of the things that you can do if you want to make a truer red, is just add orange to it. But I also want to show you how the colors interact and blend together. I'm going to rinse this out and just get water on my brush. Now you'll see, like, where I went over after I rinsed my brush out, it picked up a lot of that pigment. Now that happens sometimes with like high quality watercolors too, but not quite to this extent. All right, so you can kind of see how those colors mix together here in the middle, and then how it blended out with some water. So that was red and then an orange. I'm going to come over here and pick up this yellow ochre. I love yellow ochre. Let's put this right underneath and touch the other colors. Now, this does not have as strong a yellow ochre vibe to it. When you put it on your paper, it looks more like a dandelion, the color that they stole from us in Crayola crayons. But it's a nice color. It just isn't as yellow ochre-y, if that's a word, as I would like. I'm going to come down here to grab this lemon yellow. Now, having done this video once before, one of the things that I noticed is that you really need to spend some time putting that color onto your brush. See, those colors blended nicely together. I do appreciate that about it. So what I mean by spending some time, I'm going to jump over here to this beautiful color. Now, if you notice, that color got really dark when I put water on it. That doesn't normally happen with regular watercolor. It's the same color dry or wet. This almost has more of a chalky feel, like a gouache would have. And if you're not familiar with gouache, gouache is like if watercolor and tempera paint had a baby. It's chalkier, it's more opaque. It's not as transparent as watercolor can be. Now, one of the reasons is for this, probably in this palette, is that they use a lot of filler to create these pans of color. And that's going to give you more of a chalkier feel when you paint than if you had more of a pure pigment. And you just need to know that ahead of time if you've used watercolors a lot. Okay, so I just picked up this kind of olive army green. I really like it a lot. It's very pretty. And you just got to keep that in mind. This acts more like a gouache than a watercolor. And if you like gouache, then hey, you are in luck. I'm gonna come over here and grab this blue. I didn't spend much time getting that color onto my brush. You really got to saturate it. They dry super fast too. After you've picked up the color, it dries really fast. Once again, it's because of that chalkiness. It's going to want to dry quicker. See, now that blended out nicely. I'm going to jump over to this purple. This looks very, very red violet in the pan. But it looks pretty pinky on the paper. That's not the end of the world though. This is something that you could easily fix by mixing another purple with that color. Which I love making my own colors. So once you start working with a palette, you'll learn what colors work well together to create the colors that you actually want. So the colors overlap a little bit there, so you can kind of see, you get more of a truer purple in that spot. Now I spent a little bit more time rubbing at that, and we get this deeper color. Kind of nice. Now, I am only going to test one of the pinks. Pink is not one of my favorite colors. I know I hate to say that, but it's just not. Never has been. Although I do appreciate it more because I have 2 daughters and, you know, my girls like pinks and purples a lot. I always liked purple, but I have learned to tolerate pink. It's, you know, a nice light Barbie pink. Nothing wrong with that. Now let's go over here to our neutrals. Now I'm just giving you a sampling because I don't want to take you through all the colors. It'll take forever. So this brown, in the pan, it looks like a very standard brown. But it is warmer. It's a warmer brown. Kind of a reddish, I would say kind of more like a burnt sienna color. It's a warmer tone. And you can always tone down a warm brown with a little bit of green, or if you want to gray it down, then you can use blue, and that'll kind of gray it down. Speaking of gray, let's come over here and rub-a-dub-dub the gray. Did not get a lot of pigment on my brush. Rub-a-dub-dub, rub-a-dub-dub, rub-a-dub-dub. That's what I tell my students sometimes. Say rub-a-dub-dub 3 times. So that's not a bad gray, not at all. I'm going to go into my black, rub-a-dub-dub, rub-a-dub-dub, rub-a-dub-dub. Ooh, that is a nice, strong black. Love it. When you paint, you will learn that black is one of the strongest colors, and you have to gauge how much you need of it because it can really overtake a color. You might just want to darken a color a little bit and you use black, and all of a sudden that color disappears and all you see is black. But yeah, that's a nice black. So all I did was get white on my brush, and I actually like the gray that I created almost more than the gray that they had in the pan. So there, you get a sampling of the colors. From this pan. Like I said, they do act a lot more like a gouache and not as much like a watercolor. So I'm gonna just do a quick drawing here. Of course, if you've been around on my blog or some of my videos, you may already know that I love turtles. And World National, whatever it was, Turtle Day was just the other day, the 23rd, I think. I have always loved turtles since I was just a little kid. I grew up in the middle of a forest, and we had a lot of eastern box turtles where I grew up. Just doing a simple design. You guys have already invested so much time in this video. I don't want to take your whole evening or day, whatever time it is that you're watching this. All right. So I'm just going to get this kind of medium green. And it does look much more like a grass green when you put it on the paper. The pan, it looks much darker. Once again, like I said, in a standard watercolor, whether like professional watercolors or even the Prang watercolor student grade, it is going to be the color that you see, really. It's the color that you see in the pan. This is a little deceiving. But if you know that ahead of time, then you can work with it. Not a big deal. Any product that you use, any material, media that you're using, you have to learn the ins and outs of it. And you can't just chalk it up to it's bad. You have to learn its personality, I guess. Just like you do in relationships and friendships. You gotta figure out what makes it tick. So I'm just putting this overall color down to start with. Rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up that brown. See, I really feel that looks very reddy. Almost like a red clay kind of color. From this initial going over it, it does kind of look like a standard watercolor, but I will tell you that I did this before. And if you notice the chalkiness where it went over the Sharpie, and the Sharpie is not as crisp and black as these outlines anymore, it's because of the material that they're using in mixing these cakes of color. And that's why it has that, it has that chalky feel and that more gouache feel, is because there is like the particulates that are within the cake are drying on the top of the lines and kind of obscuring them. It's not, it's more on the line of a translucent opaque than it is a transparent, which a good watercolor is going to be fairly transparent until you start building the colors up. So I'm going to come over here and grab this redder color, because why not? It's kind of reddy purple. That may have been a mistake. Oh well, that's okay. We're just playing. Yeah, that is definitely more of a raspberry kind of color. We're making an imaginary turtle, I guess. It's pretty though, and it actually looks really nice on top of that brown. So rinse my brush out. Was not my intention. So let's go over and grab some of that army green color, the olive army green here at the bottom, and we're going to go over top and mix those colors. Now the black line almost disappears, but when you use colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, you're going to get kind of a brown. There's different types of brown. So if you mix blue and orange together, or yellow and purple, the browns look different. But yeah, you can almost hardly see that black. This is very, very opaque. Which, you know, like I said before, it's as if watercolor and tempera paint had a baby. And tempera paint is opaque, and watercolor is supposed to be more transparent. But as I said before, knowledge is power, and if you know how they work, you can use them effectively. So I just used the color that was left in my brush from mixing the green into that raspberry color, and it made a really nice cooler brown. I guess because I had more of that green in my brush. So it cooled down that reddy orangey brown color that is from the pan right here. And we'll just go in and fill these little dots. Doo-doo. The shell's kind of nice. I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to wipe it off on the inside. You don't want to grab a brush with a paper towel and pull, because it's kind of like if I grabbed your hair and started pulling, you wouldn't like it. And eventually your hair would start coming out. The brush is the same way. A lot of brushes, they might put a little bit of glue, and then do you notice how this is pressed right here? That's how it's holding the hairs in the brush. A little bit of glue and clamping it down. So if you're yanking on it after it's been wet, you'll start losing brush hair, which I will say is not a good thing. Now I'm going to go back over here to this bluey green, looks bluey green right here. And my brush was fairly dry, and hopefully this is dried down. And you want to do kind of like a wet on dry technique if you want to create texture. Now, nope, this is wetter than I thought. The color is already bleeding out. So this is one way to create texture, is doing a wet on dry, or a wet on kind of dry. And it will allow those brush marks to show through, which will create texture. And turtles are reptiles and they have scales. So that's what I'm doing right here, is I'm just kind of trying to create a little bit of texture for my turtle. And I'm just kind of pouncing my brush up and down to create the texture. It really worked here quite well. You can see the textures of the brush. It's really up to you how you do it. But I'm going to end, we're at 20 minutes. So I will hopefully get a few more of these reviews up over the next few weeks of products from Dollar General. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you like seeing these product reviews and if you have had the opportunity to use these products yourself. All right, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.